Senate Judiciary, still February 11th. And we are just gonna have just a general discussion about S44. We had about an hour and a half of testimony, walkthroughs and so on about the bill. Definitely sounds like there's some unanswered questions at the moment, which Ledge Council is working on. But at least for those of us who are here, I'd like to hear your initial thoughts, concerns, questions, comments, ideas about how to proceed. Once before.
Yeah, probably my biggest concern is just the separation of powers there that you brought up in the constitutionality of it, how that kind of all interplays. I know the legislature, we have to do grants and things like that already, but how does this really work in taking away the state of emergency portion of it? We do go into a state of emergency and taking the governor's powers away there, and then also, like Senator Baruch said, just those 60 days. No less than 60 days, if we are in the midst of something. Feels like a long time. And I'd also like just to hear more about, if it's an up or down vote from the legislature, and if it's an up vote, can the governor veto it? And then we have to have a vote on that. I just want to learn more about that.
Senator Norris.
I think we need to hear more testimony. Obviously, it's very early, like we hear from the Vermont State Police, their involvement. Maybe someone locally from a municipality or sheriff's office, along with the council, possibly Jay Johnson. I think we got a long ways to go on something that's only like 2 or 3 pages long here. I do have concerns about serving someone's authority, even more authority to a certain case, us for General Assembly. I'm sure I'll reserve my judgment on that at one time until we hear more testimony. So
I put down some initial witnesses, at least leads of cities, towns, J, DLC, the sheriffs, and DSP.
Good.
Senator Hosky, do you have any initial thoughts?
I think I shared most of my initial thoughts as we were sort of I definitely have some questions about current law and how the bill is structured. I don't see a clear definition of what approval means and whether or not it can just be ignored. So I do think there's some space to continue digging in, but I do want to do so.
I think, it was brought up earlier that we authorize grants, and that involves federal government, involves the executive branch. I think, though, that there's a distinction that's spelled out in the Constitution between the legislative branch having the power of the purse as compared to the executive branch having the power to make these decisions for the state, in which we may or may not enter into different interstate agreements or agreements with the federal government. And I think, their Ledge Council is doing some more research on it, so I'll be curious as to what they come back with. I think my larger focus now is more so on what towns or sheriffs or DLC, what types of agreements they can or can't enter into, and whether or not we can take steps to provide some more checks and balances there. So that's my initial thought on it. But I do think we definitely need to get some more testimony. Also, there's some more research that needs to be done.
I think that Senator Volsky inquired about within the 60 days. In fact, we don't come back and send approval of the fact that, well, if he calls an emergency, we need to come back, whatever else. I don't think, for lack of a better term, playing hooky is going to serve our constituents in the best. If someone has declared a state of emergency, I don't think that option's on the table, obviously.
Yeah, and that is that is one of the core functions of the executive branch, is in those emergency situations being able to make decisions promptly. So it's, Senator Volsky.
Yeah, well, so I want to clarify that the special session, that there doesn't have to be a state of emergency for a special session. The way that that was sort of entailed is anytime we're out of session. So anytime from May to January when we concluded. There's nothing that can happen unless we get called back. The state of emergency to me, I think, is a separate thing that we might need to look at differently. I'm just having a hard time wrapping my head around what instance immigration would rise to the level of a state of emergency. And so maybe I need to figure more on what that would look like. Like I get it if there's, a pandemic or floods. We've had a lot of states of emergencies in the last few years, but I'm just having a tough time wrapping my head around a state of emergency involving ice.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever get anybody from the federal government. That's.
They will not.
We've tried that before in the past, so, I'm sure it's gonna happen.
Oh, yeah.
They won't.
We were looking at, forfeitures. So.
There was that. There was also FEMA. We tried to get FEMA and go off last year.
But I'll be focused. Say we've got a long ways to go.
Yeah, I'd say so. Also think it's one of the, at least from what I'm hearing, one of the most talked about issues lately. Immigration in general, what type of role we as the legislature play in protecting and supporting migrant communities here in Vermont. Anything further, or shall we adjourn for the day?
Well, me, my opinion.
I know your opinion.
All right, I think we're good. Caleb?